Well, I made this little L brackety piece to kind of cover our step that we had to put in here. I countersunk them, so I just get this screw and I just hammer it into a socket that's just a little bit bigger than the head of the bolt here. And then on this lower piece here, I after countersinking this, it'll sit up a little higher. So I drilled the holes in this piece, and then I took a chisel or a punch and I punched this piece, so then these will sit down and then it'll sit in there nice and flush. These ones will hold it in flush with the bed as soon as we get this all set up. But this, that, and the other, I think it'll look okay, especially after we get these two pieces painted the same. I don't think that it'll be really noticeable. The tailgate, when it folds down, you'll see it here, so the tailgate will be kind of level here. That's the only part that's really noticeable on the entire truck, on being able to tell it's a frame swap. Everything else is really hidden. This would be the only spot that you'd be able to recognize that it's not the same. And the independent front suspension, but as far as the body and the fit goes, that's our difference right there.
All it takes is one job, oh yeah. All it takes is one job, and everything is gonna be okay.
Alright, so got a lot of the fender sanded here. This is just gonna be 180, so we're gonna do another primer coat on it and do 220 and 400. This tailgate turned out pretty good. We got one little sag right here. Shouldn't be too hard to fix. Same thing on this fender, got that blocked while it's on the truck, so it's a little easier to sand. Ends up being a little straighter because it's actually in the position, and then I'll take it off and sand what I can't get to, or what would be better to have the fender off to sand. We got our little piece on here with our countersunk screws, and now we're working on the rear bumper. So I blocked it, did some filler work, spot primed it, and it's ready for primer sealer, as are the tail light buckets. The little brackets that we made, we're just gonna have black, so I painted those black, and they're just drying there. But back to the lab to mix up some primer sealer and our hot rod flats here for our gray. All right, there's our primer sealer. Looks about exactly as when it came in. It's an aftermarket bumper, and they send them in that black primer, and that looks about like it. And then our tail light buckets, it's about the same story there, except for all the modifications we did to those things, with the changing of the back, changing of the plug, changing of the wiring. So yeah, they're a bit different. Now we'll wait our 15 minutes here or so, and stick on our hot rod flats. All right, we're gonna paint the insides of the bed sides, our rear brace, what I'd call the headboard of the bed or something like that. Jared's running down to get some tips for my seam sealer, because I need to seam seal that edge, and our little back piece that we made to go up against that wood. Hopefully we get a good turnout here. Hopefully we can paint the outside of these tomorrow. I have to see, because I'll paint the top of this kinda, and then I'll block it, and then I'll do a rolled edge right here with the tape so it can kind of blend that edge, sand it in, cut and color sanded to kind of lose that edge there. Just gonna use the paint that we put on here as just something else to block. Make it a little straighter, even though it's already good to go. Let's see if we can't set up a time lapse here. When I bag the camera, it overheats, but I don't really want overspray all over my camera. But the truck's coming along good. I think we only have a couple of weeks left and we're gonna be done with this project. The wood's all ready to go. We're gonna take it across the street to a wood shutter company, Marshall Shutters. He's done a lot of different little woodwork pieces for me in my different jobs and different pieces of furniture I've had him redo. It's not really what he does. He does very beautiful wood shutters, and then he does those electric shades as well. But we're getting there. Well, the paintwork seemed to look good, turn out well. A few little dirt nibs need to be taken out, but I don't think too much like cutting and buffing will need to be done. And then I'm gonna wait until it's Friday, and we're gonna wait until Monday to try to turn these over, sand them, that kind of stuff, mask, because we'll have to mask off the holes so it doesn't fade through.
All it takes is one job, oh yeah. All it takes is one job, and everything is gonna be okay.